Hey there, travel beauty chasers, and welcome back to Chasing Travel Beauty with Stephanie. So good to see you all today. I'm so excited. I was thinking about this, daily practice of posting, and I was just filled with gratitude because I said, you know what? It's not something I have to do, but it's something I get to do. I get the opportunity to put out information, to put out content that I hope is bringing a little bit more light, love, joy, positivity, hope, maybe some helpful information out into the world. And so I am really, really grateful for that. And I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful that you have turned on the channel, that you're checking this out on today. On yesterday, we were talking about Bermuda, and Bermuda being one of those places in my top 7 places that I say you should visit in 2026. And if you haven't seen that full video, you can look at the video I did yesterday. Gives you more information about Bermuda and how it really, filled my soul at a really tough time. That's all about sorrow moving to a place of serenity. But before that, day before that was the day that I did the top 7. So you can check out, where should I go next? But in doing the one from yesterday, the reason we talked about Bermuda was because I felt like this is for the people who solo travel, want to solo travel, haven't done it yet, but are saying they're going to do it. And I recommended Bermuda, for all the reasons that it makes it easy. And then I got a text. I was texting someone that I love and care about, and they said, "Oh, I've been watching your travel channel," and they said, "I could never travel solo to all those places that you've been to." And in my mind, I thought, "Sure, you could. You absolutely can, because if I can do it, guess what? Anyone can." And I thought about, what came to me was like, I'm not so special. Like, I am not like a unusually brave person. And in fact, I remember a time in my life, I considered myself like much afraid, like, just lots of things, made me fearful. So I don't consider myself like an unusually brave person. And I feel like if I can do it, anyone can. And so today I want to talk about solo travel. And for those of you who say you want to do it and you haven't done it yet, let's talk about those things that are keeping people from doing what it is they really want to do. And in this case, focusing specifically on solo travel. So we're going to talk about the top 5 reasons that, hinder, delay, are barriers for people to solo travel. But more important than understanding what are the things keeping us from it is, how can we overcome it? Like, how can we mitigate those things? Because they're not excuses, like they're real things. And so how do we address those so that as I'm thinking about like a title for this, it's like moving from what feels, daunting to feeling empowered as it relates to solo travelers. So how do we get people from feeling, fearful and overwhelmed about, what solo travel could mean, to getting to this place of feeling like resilient, feeling empowered, feeling strong because they were able to conquer something that they thought they couldn't do, and realizing, wow, actually, wasn't so bad. I actually can do that. So we're going to talk about that today. So I'm curious, if you're a solo traveler, or even if you're not a solo traveler, I'm sure you probably already have some ideas like what could be the top 5 things that stop people from doing it. So what do you think is number 1? What is the number 1 reason people don't solo travel? What do you think? Okay, I can't hear you, but I can read your mind. I'm sure most of you say, well, if we're talking about a solo traveler who is a female solo traveler, the number 1 reason women probably don't solo travel is the concern around safety. And if you thought that, you're absolutely correct. So that is the number 1 thing that seems to cause or give people pause for solo travel. So let's talk about that a little bit. I feel like, this idea around safety, it's not so much that there's like real danger because no one's going to go run into real danger, right? No one's going to go run into the burning building unless you're a fireman and you're trained on how to deal with that. So no one's running into danger. So it's not that there's a real threat. It's that imagined, like, the uncertainty of like what might happen. It's the fear of the unknown. That's what it is. It's the fear of the unknown. So that uncertainty of what might happen. So in this case, like, we don't have to be brave. So we don't have to be like the fireman who's like actually brave because he's actually running into danger. When we go travel, we're not running into danger. So we don't have to be brave. We just have to be prepared. So we just have to figure out, okay, here are the uncertainties. How can I make the uncertainties less uncertain? How can I make them more firm? How can I have a plan for the different scenarios or things that I'm imagining in my mind as worst case scenarios that could happen? So there are lots of things we can do. So, for me personally, one of my safety concerns is like, when I lay my head down at night, I don't want to worry, is somebody going to come in the room? Right? So this is why I personally don't do Airbnb. Like, I haven't done it. Living in someone else's house with whatever their level of security, I don't know what it is. I prefer hotels. So I know there are other people who love Airbnbs and they do that in probably if I'm doing a group travel, when you're having multiple people, like an Airbnb makes more sense than having multiple hotel rooms. But as a solo traveler, I'm going to a hotel. You know why? They have security. They have sophisticated locks on the doors that I know no one can get in, not even the maid who has the key, because I have a certain lock that's on my side of the door. And so that's what I do for my comfort. So again, I don't have to be brave. I just have to go to a hotel and lock the door. You know what I mean? Like, there are simple solutions here. And so I know, like, for people who do Airbnb, they say, they buy these door alarms. So you can put these door wedges, and if someone tries to open the door, an alarm will go off. So there are ways to even do that kind of travel as a solo traveler. But again, for me, I'm going to a hotel. That is what I'm going to do. That's going to give me peace as I lay my head down to go to sleep at night. And then one of the other things for me is like when I go to like high tourist traffic areas. So like in places that have been known, like they say, okay, there's not like violent crimes that happen there, but maybe a pickpocketer is what can happen. So these are like your Barcelona or your Italy. So for me, I always, instead of like a purse that's like over my shoulder that someone could easily grab or someone could easily go into that bag, I always do a crossbody bag. And I actually bought a crossbody bag from Amazon. It's got like these little locks. It's got multiple compartments, so they never know where your money is. And every compartment has a little thing that latches, so no one can easily like unzip and get it. Like, it's a whole thing that they would have to get into. So little tips like that on ways to be prepared. Also, when I'm in the hotel room, I'll use the hotel safe. That's where I'm going to put my valuables. Now, I never travel with like expensive jewelry, but maybe like that's where I'm going to put my passport. And then I'll make sure that I have like paper copies of my passport. I'll make sure that I have an electronic copy of my passport. Like, I take a picture, a photo of it that's in my phone. So I make sure that those things are safe. And then whenever I leave the hotel room, I put everything back in not everything, like my clothes are hanging up, but anything like that is valuable, or anything that I wouldn't want anyone touching, like my toothbrush, I put it in my suitcase and I lock my luggage before I leave. So for me, it's just, again, about whatever your mind is imagining as these potential bad things that can happen, how do I make a plan to avoid it? And so I think that is how, as a solo traveler, these are the things we can do to like make safety not be an issue, make safety not be a barrier that actually stops us from traveling. But let's put the little steps in place that make us feel more safe, more secure, and a little bit more certain about taking a trip. So that was number one, safety. Number two, the second reason that they said, solo travelers, have pause is one of the topics we talked about a couple of days ago is this idea of like, am I going to feel lonely, right? Am I going to be uncomfortable because I feel lonely and alone? And so we have a whole video on, is solo traveling lonely? So go take a look at that. So I'm not going to like deep dive on that one, but again, it's about, okay, what are the things we can do to make it feel less lonely? So I think the first thing is like, if you're a person like literally in your life, you do nothing alone, like you don't even go to the grocery store by yourself, then I'm going to say small steps. Start practicing at home. So take yourself out to dinner. Um, um, Take a book with you when you go out to dinner, or have your phone with something interesting to read. Get comfortable with that. Get comfortable being in silence, like being with yourself and being with your own thoughts, learning how to like just enjoy your own company. And as you build that muscle in a safe place, like just a couple of hours here, or a couple of hours there, it's going to build that muscle so that you feel more comfortable doing it outside of the country. So again, loneliness really isn't about being alone, right? It's that, not having the kinds of connections we'd like to have. Also, then when you get to the place where you're going to actually be going, so in this case, let's say you're going to Bermuda. We talked about this in the video about, is solo travel lonely? One of my things that I do is I always do like a little group tour. This gets me comfortable in the place I'm at. Sometimes it's a free walking tour that lets me like learn the lay of the land. Sometimes it's actually either a Viator or a Get Your Guide, one of their tours. And I'm sure to meet other travelers who are in that place and space, who are interested in doing things. And many times we're like, oh, let's get together. Let's go have dinner together. You'll always typically meet one or two other solo travelers. So it is a great way to make connections. So that's another tip. Another thing you can do is when you're planning, just say, I'm going to at least have one social thing that I'm going to be able to do each day. So this way, there's not going to be a day that I literally have to spend 24 hours by myself, if that's an issue for you. For me, I've gotten more comfortable with that solace, that solitude, that time to like have reflection and to be in my own head and in my own thoughts, and then also to be present with where I am and to people watch and all the things. So give that a try. I think that can help build that muscle to getting comfortable with the fact that solo travel is, and aloneness doesn't have to necessarily be lonely. And then let's move on to the third. The third is about logistics and people sometimes feeling overwhelmed, like this idea of like where do I start, right? So if you've never had to like get your own itinerary, book your flights, figure out what you're going to do, how long you're going to be there, like how do I get from the airport to my hotel, all these things that can definitely feel, overwhelming. And you're like, where do I start? So, what's that saying? Like, how do you eat an elephant? Like one bite at a time. So it's like one step at a time. So the first thing you need to do is like book the flight, book the hotel, and figure out day one. How am I getting from the airport to the hotel? And then what am I doing on the first day? That's it. Don't try to plan the whole thing out. Just do that piece and let each day evolve. Makes it really easy. And I think we couldn't be in a better time for solo travelers than the time we live in now in terms of technology, because like AI has flipped the whole thing on its head, right? So it used to be like many, many, many years ago where it's like you had to have a travel agent, right? You're going to get good deals. If you're going to find out like what to do, where to go, like you had to have a travel agent. Well, now, with social media, we didn't have to have a travel agent. We could go look on YouTube. People look on TikTok, Instagram. I don't look on those places so much, but YouTube for sure, to see what's hot, what's happening, what are people doing. But now we have AI. AI is like my travel buddy. It's like, okay, help me come up with my itinerary. What should I focus on? Where should I go? And then I put in like here's how I want to feel. Like, this one I just needed to be relaxing. Like, so tell me what are going to be those things that are going to give me a sense of calm, or I want to feel reflective, or like I want a sense of grandness, adventure, luxury. What are those things? It can literally spit out whatever itinerary you need. It can help you figure out, okay, here are the 10 hotels that are listed based, or not, don't even give it the 10. Just say, based on my budget, which is X, and I want to stay here and I want to be centrally located. I don't have a car. Tell me what are the top 3 hotels I should consider in such and so country for this kind of experience. It will give you that information. So we don't live in a time where we need a travel agent or it has to be overwhelming. Like literally AI can be our travel buddy and do a lot of that heavy lifting for us. Even after I let AI be my travel buddy, I always go to YouTube though. I want to see boots on the ground, people who are having the experience. Like, I want to see real pictures, right? So, every hotel puts beautiful pictures on their site, but I want to know, what is it really like? So I'm reading those reviews, and I'm definitely looking at YouTube to see what are people's real lived experiences in any given location. And then at the end of the day, I always say, I'll look at the reviews now, unless it's horrible, but as long as it's good, meets a certain threshold in terms of what my standard is. I'm like, I'm going to go because I want to go. I want to see it for myself. I want to make my own assessment. I want to come to my own conclusion about a place. I always feel like that is the best way to really know, is to go see for yourself. Okay, so that's that one. Logistics and being overwhelmed. The fourth is about cost. And the fact that, traveling solo means like everything's on you. And if you're going on a cruise, if you're doing a tour group, there's usually like a solo supplement, right? And so I understand. I totally get that one. That one can be really expensive. What I've done, so like Gate One and even Explorer Journey. So a lot of tours will offer at certain points and certain times, you got to time it right. Well, they'll offer a solo supplement waiver, right? It said, Forbes said that in 2024, that the solo travel industry was a 95 billion, with a B, billion-dollar industry. And it said by 2030, it's going to be 190 billion, with a B, dollar industry. Solo travel matters. Our dollars matter. We matter. So if you want to go on a group tour, you want to go on a cruise, call them. This is, in fact, how I got my, the last trip that I took on Gate One. Instead of just like booking it on the site, I called and said, hey, I'm a solo traveler. Do you have any solo traveler promotions? Ask the question. They did. I saved a couple of $1,000 and took that tour. So if you want to be a solo traveler, you can be. There are ways to make it affordable. Of course, you got the opportunity to say, how do I optimize my points? We talked about this, I think, a little bit yesterday, like the fact that I was able to use mostly points to book my hotel. I feel like the person I've heard give the best information about this, that makes it like easy to understand and easy to execute. She has a YouTube channel. I think she also has an Instagram and all that. Her name is Kim, and she's or Ken, I think it is. She's the passport abuser, the passport abuser. Go check her out. She gives so many tips on how to do solo travel and make it affordable without spending so much money. So I say go check her out. So let's not let the cost be the reason we don't do it. Because guess what? Travel is like an investment in yourself. And guess what else? You're worth it. You are worth that investment. Go do it. Go have that experience of awe and wonder and childlike joy. and just see how travel has the ability to like fill up your soul. Okay, so there was one more. Number 5. The 5th is that kind of language. Like you like, okay, the language or cultural issues or differences. Like you're like, oh, am I gonna be able to speak the language? Well, of course you know. I can't speak the language. Right? Like, okay, I only speak English. What's gonna happen when I go in this other country? I think the beauty is people just want, they don't care if you're fluent in their language. They just want to know, do you have a curiosity, right? Do you have an interest in their culture? And like that means everything. So it's like if I'm in Italy and I'm like, buongiorno, or buonasera, or il conto per favore, when I'm asking for the bill. Like, I don't know a lot, but I'm going to say something. I'm in Portugal, I'm going to say obrigada. Or if I'm in Japan, arigato gozaimasu. Like, I can't say a lot. I can only say a little. But what I am going to do is show you that, like, I have such an interest in how you live, your culture, your food. I have a respect for you, and I'm here to learn and enjoy how you live. And I think that goes a long way. So you don't have to speak the language. And again, technology. Technology has made all of these issues literally non-issues. With Google Translate, you want to be able to explain something, you put it in there and you press which language you want. You put it in your English language and you press Spanish and then you show them. It's just that simple. This is what I did when I was in Cartagena, because I was surprised that, like, okay, if they're really building tourism, that like there wasn't this overwhelming English speaking in the touristy areas. So Google Translate to the rescue, and you can communicate, and whatever transaction you're trying to get done can get done, be it at a restaurant, be it at a shopping, or be it at a stranger on the street because you're like, okay, I'm lost. I don't know how to get to X, Y, and Z. Google Translate. It's a win every single time. So we should be traveling in 2026. And we should be solo traveling in 2026. We can absolutely address those things that concern us. We can absolutely be prepared so that we don't let fear paralyze us, but we feel that uncertainty. You know, we do the things we can to become more certain, and then guess what? We keep moving forward. So solo travel, it isn't about courage, it's about trust. It's about trusting ourselves that whatever situation we find ourselves in, we're going to be able to handle it. We're going to be okay. People are kind everywhere around the world, and you're going to be okay. So as we move forward and do this solo traveling, and for me, it's like I'm still not an expert at it, but I'm getting that muscle stronger and stronger with each place I go to, and you can do the same. Well, friends, we have reached the end of our time together today, but there is no need for sorrow because I want to see you tomorrow. But until then, keep chasing travel beauty wherever your journeys may take you. Please do like, comment, and subscribe. I would love to hear from you as well. So tell me, are you a solo traveler? And are you going to be a solo traveler in 2026? Yes for solo travel. Yes, yes, yes. Thanks so much. See you soon. Bye-bye.